more do we have? Because it might be good to actually get some questions.
Well, we're going now into this. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. We're going now into this part. It's a good point to pause, though. We should maybe take questions for 5 or 10 minutes.
We'll take a couple questions because this next topic, him and I fight over a lot.
Right.
Do we have any questions? Really?
I'll ask one. So with the Warner thing that you were talking about earlier, Steve. Oh, thanks. Thank you. With the Warner decision to allow their music to be in these YouTube products, what do you think that's going to do in terms of going backwards for traditional filmmakers? I mean, will that have any effect who have to get festival rights to music or?
Well, the stuff that's being generated and posted on YouTube is the people who are doing it, it falls under fair use, meaning that they're not making it to make money. When most of those YouTube products are amateur products and they themselves are not trying to get any money for it. The moment they try to get money for it, Warner can still shut them down. But what it means is that Warner as a record company has said, I'm not going to sue teenagers who use our songs on their home videos. Which, you know...
well, now Warner hasn't explicitly said that. What they've said is that our Madonna videos will be up on YouTube for anyone to look at. They've basically said that the Warner video catalog...
But didn't they also say that they're making some provision for music?
Did they?
All right,
okay.
I could be wrong on that. But when you as a filmmaker expect some sort of remuneration for your product, you still have to respect traditional chain of title and traditional rights acquisition. What we're saying is that in the wild west of amateur production, which we're going to get into, there are slight cracks showing in the sort of ogreish behavior of the large record labels.
Right.
How does YouTube make money?
Okay. This is a very good question. Right now, YouTube is burning $1 million a month on bandwidth, $1 million a month, because 100 million videos are being downloaded a day and 65,000 are being uploaded to YouTube a day right now. Now, okay, they do have Google AdWords stuff at the top of the pages. They've only just started that, all right? Exactly how they make money in the long term, no one's really clear on that yet. Now, be careful about laughing, because remember, I don't think Red vs. Blue or Homestar Runner or Happy Tree Friends had a plan on making money when they came out. The most important thing these days is to build your audience, all right? And then, yes, think hard about ways of working with that audience to get money.
But what I think they will make their money on is being used by large media companies to access an audience. For instance, there's a scandal that just broke on YouTube about Lonely Girl 15, which was this supposed 15-year-old girl who was posting a daily video blog about her talking about school, her boyfriend, her parents, whatever. And it had quite a cult following that was growing around it because the blogs were very sweet and very interesting. It broke out a couple days ago that the woman was actually a 19-year-old actress hired by Creative Artists Associates in California, and the whole thing was staged and was going to move forward to promote some other entertainment product. Now, what you're seeing on a lot of search engines are paid placements and et cetera, et cetera. YouTube, a viable business model for them, which is probably what this is all about, is by using their database and the audience that's associated with it, marketers will pay them to slip stuff in front of people to promote offline, whatever that might be, which is something you're seeing in an information sense on things like Google and other news services.
Okay, something else that I want to mention. So Bill Lawrence, who's the fellow who created the television series Scrubs, did a pilot for another series, which is a comedy series about people who are living inside of a reality show. It's very sort of postmodern and inverted. And NBC didn't pick up the series, and so he put it up in 3 segments on YouTube. And a lot of people started watching it, and now the series has been moved into production. All right, so there's what we're starting to see. These are not 2 separate universes, and this is the interesting thing. These universes are more and more permeable, because to us, the media that we're consuming, some of it's coming from broadcast, some of it's coming from cable, some of it's coming from DVD, and some of it's coming from online. So for us, the experience is permeable. So in the case of the producer, the experience is also permeable.
Any other questions before we move on to user-generated content?
Isn't Rupert Murdoch still going to get paid for all the bandwidth?
Wait, why would he get paid for all the bandwidth?
Not
He doesn't
Rupert
own the
Murdoch
net.
Not Rupert Murdoch necessarily, but somebody else is going to muscle in, and basically there are still gatekeepers charging for bandwidth, and it just strikes me that, you know, right now you can torrent the latest season of 24 or whatever, but aren't the checks and balances on the amount of bandwidth you're using going to get tighter? Isn't that what's going to happen?
That has not historically been the trend. Historically, the trend has been that the checks and balances and bandwidth have consistently dropped. All right, I now have 25 gigabytes of bandwidth in Australia. You pay a lot for your bandwidth in Australia, far more than you pay in Canada or the United States or the UK. And just with that amount of bandwidth, that's more television than I can watch in a month. All right. So it's unlikely that we would see any sort of fundamental closing off on bandwidth. I know we hear a lot about net neutrality and this and that and the other thing. The interesting thing about BitTorrent and technologies like this is that there's no centralized point that's delivering all of this content or receiving all of this content. Everyone's sharing the burden on it. And from the point of the network folks, it makes it easier in some ways because there's no single point that's weighting it down, but it also makes it more impossible to throw a bridge up and start collecting a toll. It makes it more difficult to do that, unless you're going to do it on every end user. And there are regulatory bodies which in theory protect against that. Practice can say.